This is major breaking news tonight. This just broke. We have a major ruling from the Supreme Court that is going to change everything. It's going to change our country. It's going to change the rule of law. It's going to be a threat to our national security. And we even have top federal government officials and top federal representatives in Congress warning that this could lead to a civil war. That's not what I'm saying. That's what representatives in Congress are saying. They're saying that this is setting our country up for a civil war. All right, this is not the path we want to be going down as a country. This is going to lead us further into destabilization and further collapse our country and our economy. All right, and now we have this major ruling from the Supreme Court that just came out, and this is a ruling that you would think that the judges, the amount of conservative and liberal judges, how they label them, you would think that this ruling wouldn't have happened, but we actually have multiple conservative justices that are ruling against this ruling and ruling for the federal government right now. This just came out, and this is going to change everything. This is going to be a major tipping point in our country. This is a major fight against states' rights and the federal government. This is setting us up for a giant clash between these two, and even now our federal representatives are saying that this is bringing us close to civil war, quote, civil war. And there was a ton of people in the comments on these articles saying the same thing, saying that they feel like a civil war is brewing, right? That's what a lot of people around the country are now saying, and this is a dangerous position.
All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders which rule Great Millstone Wow, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba babal. So, as you hear this Edomite, which he seems to be an Edomite, his name is Patrick Humphrey, and this is his channel. All right. And as you can hear him and read his title, it says, warning, this means civil war. Supreme Court makes insane ruling, which he also mentions that Congress is the one that says this could cause a civil war. Well, Apostle Tahar is the one that even brought out the information that it's Congress that declares war. So what they say, all right, is what it is. So that's what it is. We're about to see a civil war, which in itself, it will be a race war. All right? It's going to be against each other, neighbor against neighbor. It says in 2nd Ezra 15, this is what's about to take place in America. Verse 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, which the whole world's going to be affected, but America is going to be the greatest place of judgment. For the sword, which is the so-called white race, and their destruction, the end of their age, draweth nigh, is near. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Alright? So you're going to have a civil war. You're going to have World War III, which is already pretty much in action. Alright? But it's been prophesied. The third will cometh quickly. It says, and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition, which is going against their government, first verbally, and then it means eventually physically. That word sedition, when you look it up. It means they're talking shit about the government, that it's going to lead eventually to violence. The citizens are going to rise up against their government. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. And see, they deceive the women, the modern women today, because they say that you could be like a man, right? Or you don't need a man, or you could fight a man. And as you just heard me read, it says, for there shall be sedition among men. A war zone is a place only for a man. All right? But women, they're going to be there, and they're going to be literally tossed. All right? They're pretty much going to be raped to death and then eventually ate. Okay? Because while these wars are happening in the street, ain't no food going to be put on your shelf in your local grocery store. All right? That's why there's going to be famine also. And that's why people are going to eat their babies, eat the dead bodies, all right, and even die from this, because there's going to be disease and everything. It's gonna get horrible out here. And the only way that you're going to survive it is if the Lord's dealing with you. And He's only dealing with men, the hopeful elect men. Just like in the time of Noah, He was only dealing with Noah. But the Lord saved his wife, his sons, and their wives, because they were with him, you know, as he was going on his mission for the Lord. So that's the same that's going to happen to the ones that attach to us. They're going to be saved with us, being that they're Israelites ordained to be saved. All right? It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, all right, nor princes. Which that means is like on the first month and the 6th day that they always talk about, when there was pretty much they invaded the capital of America, and they broke in there, and they put a shaman at the seat, in the seat of Pelosi at the time. All right. So they're setting it up, and there's things that are out of control. All right. They really can't control anything, but they're the wicked, and the Lord gave them instructions, just like He gave instructions to the righteous. All right. And when this time pops off, like I said, the first month and the 6th day that they're always complaining about, they said that Trump, you know, said that he was actually the initiator of that riot that happened on the first month and the 6th day. And I'm saying that in code so that they don't strike my video, all right? If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But, you know, they pretty much said that Trump was the instigator of sedition, and then they said that he was actually trying to call him and tell him, you know, stand down, don't do that, right? This time, when it really goes down, all right, they're not going to care about any of that shit, all right? It says, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, which is the presidents, the governors, the mayors. All right, they're not going to give a fuck about what they say. All right, and these police, they ain't going to do nothing. They're going to be worried about themselves and their own families. All right, because they're going to actually have people looking for them. All right, somebody that they did wrong, right? And now it's time to get you back. That's what the police are going to be dealing with. So they're going to have their own problems according to biblical prophecy. It says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, which was right there. So, you know, there's people that got a vendetta against the police. Well, when those lights go out and the internet is shut off and you ain't got no more communications, you ain't got no more transportation, you ain't got none of these things that you have today, these comforts of modern society, all right, violence is going to take place. It's going to be pretty much the strongest survive. and they're going to feed on the prey, the weaker. All right? But the strongest, the alpha males in this society, the alpha, and really there's only one alpha male. All right? And Yahweh Shai has that title because he's the beginning and the end. All right? Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, he has no beginning. He's been forever. But that alpha male, really, that's Yahweh Shai, which the Lord's going to make us as he is. So we're going to, have that same beauty and that same glory of being an alpha male. But now, the beginning and the ending. We're at the ending, but we're also at the beginning. All right? So it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because there's going to be martial law. All right, you're going to have troops in the streets shutting down the borders. All right, and it's already starting. In Texas, if you look it up, you got the Federal National Guard, and they're going against the state of Texas National Guard. Why? Because it's the end of the so-called white man and his age, all right, which his kingdom, America, is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. But it's also the beginning of the kingdom of Israel, which the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. So that's what's happening. A transfer of power, and it's always violent, okay? It's always a violent thing. It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. You're going to have the war zones, martial law, Jacob's trouble. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So men are going to be afraid. So how more the women and children? All right? So it's going to be a terrible thing to live through. But the thing is that the hopeful elect, we're going to be guided by the truth of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, which we have the oil through the Holy Spirit. All right? It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's why that 4-star general and that commander of the European Union, which are NATO officers, all right, we're telling NATO citizens that they better prepare. And you got to remember, America is part of the NATO military. So they were talking about these Americans also. And he said that you better be ready to see war. That every citizen, all right, is going to be involved in war, whether you like it or not. And that's what he said. That's why he said, get some flashlights, get some water, get some food, which really that ain't going to save you. All right, the thing that's going to save you is this truth of knowing Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, if you're ordained to be saved. All right, if you're not ordained to be saved, it don't matter what you do, you're going to be destroyed. All right, that's why you even got some men that may be around the men in the truth, but they're also going to be cut off and left here to die. All right, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, and those goods are also your wives and your daughters and your sons. They're going to do horrible things to them in judgment. All right, in judgment against you. The Lord is judging the world for its wickedness, and them that do wickedly, which includes 2/3 of the nation of Israel in America. All right, because you're in bed with the so-called white man, you worship the so-called white man, you love that so-called white man, so the Lord's going to destroy you and your children with that so-called white man. All right? It says in Isaiah 13, and I'm going to start in verse 11, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay hold on the proud, it says, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So they're going to be looking for the hopeful elect men when these things are going down, like they were looking for gold in the gold rush. So right here, this is the History Channel, and it's talking about California gold rush, but the gold rush happened throughout the majority of the United States. All right, but because you could find gold all over the United States, but this one is talking about the California gold rush, and it tells you here the California gold rush was sparked by the discovery of gold nuggets. So those gold nuggets are symbolic of us, all right, the prophets. In the Sacramento Valley, which we're in the valley of the shadow of death, which is America, it says in early 1848, and was arguably one of the most significant events to shape American history. And that's what the prophets are going to have involvement in, is there's going to be a book of remembrance of our involvement in the shaping of the future, which it's going to become history. All right, how America's going to be destroyed, and we stood so stiffly for our faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, it says during the first half of the 19th century. So this is history. All right, but I'm just using it as an example, just like the Bible is using it as a metaphor, all right, to tell you how precious the men are going to be in these last days. And I'm talking about the men of the Lord. I ain't talking about no reprobates. I ain't talking about no heathen, all right? It says, as news spread of the discovery, thousands of prospective gold miners traveled by sea and over land to San Francisco and the surrounding area, which you could include all of the United States. And that's what really made the United States grow, was that boom in the gold rush. All right, you had there was a book I read in the Denver Library, and it was about Moors, which are the southern kingdom of Israel, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, how they had them here in the gold rush, and they were working in slavery right next to the Gadites, the so-called North American Indians, and Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, which are both Israelite tribes, all of them, you know, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. All right, they were bringing even slaves on ships, all right, to work the mines for gold. All right, and they done this for many generations. So that's how it's going to be, them looking for us. All right, that's what makes us precious. Their salvation depends on us, because we're the connection for them to Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shai is our connection to Yahweh. See? So that's what's going to make us so precious. What make gold precious? Because it could change your life. See? So that's what's going to happen with the elect. We're going to eat, we're going to drink, we're going to be okay when everybody else is going to have nothing. It's going to make us precious. And then us being able to say yes or no, right? We're going to have a choice of women. There's going to be so many women that really, you ain't really going to worry about that shit. About having a woman. These women are going to have to beg you for your name so that they can be saved. I mean, really wrap your mind around that. The men are the prize. If the women don't like it, they got to be put to death. The Lord said, what? Bring them here before me that will not have me rule over them and slay them before me. So male or female that do not obey the Lord as he has written and put them in their lot, he's going to destroy them, those 2/3. But the elect, he's going to be making them as precious as fine gold. All right? The most fine gold in the world even today is U.S. gold. All right? USA gold. That's the most valuable gold in the world. All right? So that shows you. All right? That's an example of our value. People are going to search for us because it's going to be life-saving to be with us. Because we are into Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and he's in us. That's why we know of him. How could a mortal man know of such heavenly things? It says, therefore, I will shake the heavens and the earth, the nuclear destruction of America, shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. It says in verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So if you're joined to the so-called white man and his system, all right, you're going to be destroyed with him. And what's going to join you is that implantable microchip that they're going to make mandatory for buying and selling. Now, if you would do it and you don't do it, you don't have it on you, but in your heart you would have done it, the Lord already knows that he's going to destroy you with your... It says, all the unfaithful Israelites shall die in their unfaithfulness. All right? It says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Meaning their wives are going to be gang raped by troops, by these UN troops that are coming in, through the border. They're going to come in and gang rape the women, all right, of Babylon. All right, why? Because they're not going to have no man. And if they have a man, he's going to perish in the famine, just like it says in 2 Ezra 16. All right, but I'm going to grab one more just to make it edifying of what I'm saying is, biblical and not my own opinion. It says in Zechariah 14, verse 2, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And that's what you're about to see. All these nations are coming into America to fight the Israelites. All right? They're coming into America to slaughter, rape, to rob and murder the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right? It says, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, which it's going to be war zones in the cities, and that's why you're going to have martial law. It says, and the houses rifled, so the houses are going to be destroyed in the war. I should say in the wars that take place. It says, and women ravished. So the women that they find in these houses, they're going to ravish them. They're going to rape them to death, pretty much. They're going to pass them around. You can watch any of these war movies. You know, there's a lot of war movies that show you when the even American soldiers, I should say, especially American soldiers, when they would go into a Vietnamese village, they'd go in there and they'd rape all the women, all they wanted, and there was nothing nobody could do about it. And that's why the Viet Cong was becoming so bigger. You know, it was growing and growing, being funded by China and Russia, because America was going in there and violating those people. And that's what's going to happen here. They're going to bring these soldiers into the homes of these people and violate them, and they're going to, you know, fight back. And especially the Judites and the rest of the Israelites, all right? And this is Jacob's trouble, all right? But we're hoping to be saved out of it by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and he's going to fight for us as he has promised, all right? It says, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. So they're going to put you in FEMA camps, okay? And they're going to say that you need to have this implantable microchip put inside your body for buying and selling, or else you can't be part of the system. And if you take that, that's going to condemn you Israelites to the lake of fire, the nuclear destruction of America. Even if you take it amongst the militaries, right, they're going to send all their troops over to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is really ancient Israel, all right, and you're going to be destroyed over there by fire. It says, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city, talking about the remnant, the elect, all right, and that's why you're going to have that Isaiah 4:1, Isaiah 4:1, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach. All right? So that's when this is going to really kick into gear, is when all hell breaks loose. And the only place that's going to be stable is with us, the hopeful elect. And look at the time. It's 11:44, 1:44. It says in Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. All right, his treasure is not anything else but the fear of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. And this is why it says you cannot, love your family, your own life, your father, your mother, your wife, your children, more than the Lord. The Lord has to be your treasure. And the Lord will take care of your family, but you got to seek him and his kingdom first. And it starts with the son, Yahushai, and then the elect, which starts with King David. Yahweh is the head of Yahushai. Yahushai is the head of men and angels, which he controls both heaven and earth. All right? And the Lord's going to set up the Israelites to rule in heaven and earth. And this is our inheritance that we're going to have with him. And this is what's going to make us stable, is that he's with us. And that's going to be evident. While all things are in a fucked up state, we're gonna be stable. We're gonna be knowing, because of these sure words of prophecy. Shalom to the elect. Wa Baba Bom.